Well, well, Seraphina, I must say, your dress looks rather extravagant. Did you really have to overspend on something so unnecessary? Marcel, it's my wedding day, and I wanted to feel special. I would hope that my mother-in-law would be supportive of me. Well, I am supportive. I just hope that you're not bankrupting my son with your excessive spending. Marcel, that's not fair. Lysander and I have been splitting expenses all along, including the wedding. I have my own income and savings too. This day is about celebrating love, not criticizing each other. Celebrating love? More like celebrating your ability to spend money you don't have. I have seen through your charade, Seraphina. You're just a gold digger taking advantage of my son's generosity. Marcel, I am not a gold digger. I have never asked Lysander for anything beyond love and support. I have my own dreams and ambitions, and I work very hard to achieve them. Oh, please. We all know the truth, Seraphina. Your job is just an excuse to cover up your desire for luxury. You think we're blind, but we can see right through you. Marcel, I don't expect you to understand or believe me, but I am proud of my accomplishments and the life I have built for myself. I don't need validation from you or anyone else. Today is my wedding day, and you need to respect that. Your wedding day. It won't last, Seraphina. Mark my words. Lysander will soon realize the mistake he made, and you will be left with nothing but an empty bank account. Marcel, I may not have your approval, but I don't need it. I'm confident in my love for Lysander and myself. I won't let your negativity ruin my happiness. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a wedding to enjoy. I was a 28-year-old woman by the name of Seraphina. 3 incredible years with Lysander. My relationship was peaceful, and our mutual love of travel made it even more enjoyable as we explored the world together. My definitive moment while we were away, walking the exciting streets of a foreign city, just one of those days, and it hit me like an urban undertow that this goldfish was inextricably hooked. We had of course talked about it a lot, and I think we both felt like this would have been the way. Lysander was child of privilege, and he made a lot more money than me, which enabled him to do grand stuff for me. Initially, he paid for most of our things, and I mean extravagant meals to lavish holidays. I knew he was just being nice, but for some reason I felt weird that our financial relationship was totally out of balance. I was hoping to help and ease the financial strain on us both. When I finished college and got a decent job, one of the first things that came up was my feelings about Lysander. I voiced my concern about sharing bills and said perhaps we should live together since I always play to get the rent. For both us as a devoted, settled-in couple, and also so we could incorporate our lives. So Lysander, of course, being the understanding and supportive partner, he was said yes. A new apartment that seemed to encapsulate our heart's desire and the beginning of a shared life together. It was a huge milestone for us in our relationship to move in together. Finally in our new home, and we were so contented. We loved waking up in the same bed, eating together each morning, and seeing one another again at night. Our lives blended together effortlessly, and it was the next evolutionary step our relationship had to take. Not only did this help lessen the financial strain on Lysander a bit, it also made me feel less dependent. Our bills, rent and grocery expenses were shared 50-50, which helped create an even dynamic. We set budgets with each other, saved together, and saved towards our end goals, whether that be a holiday or potentially money to put down payment on a house. This was a shared effort which brought us closer as a couple and helped us both grow. And we were doing so well, in some planning to meet Lysander's parents for the first time. Like a storybook countdown, and I was so stoked about this, but there is also many unexpected moments approach to life. Lysander had warned us that his parents, Valeria and Thorn, were judgmental. He was right. I could sense a flicker of trepidation as we sat down for dinner in their grand home. It was a fancy place, but there seemed to be an apprehending atmosphere. Valeria looked at me awkwardly, and Thorn was aloof, indifferent. These people had deep doubts about me. The curmudgeons slowly let their displeasure seep out over the course of the evening. Seraphina, how did you and Lysander meet? We met at a party through mutual friends, actually. We instantly hit it off. Interesting. And how long have you been dating? It's been 3 years now. We have an incredible time together. Wackness, allow me to be frank with you. Across the table, a shrieking voice replied, "This is why you are with him, right? For his money?" What? Oh, no, not at all. We share love to craft our relationship the first time I used my laptop, and as usual, made a mess of what to me was big money never ever in my life, aha. You have watched as Lysander lavished you with gifts and trips. It's hard not to wonder. Nice guy, but the uneven money flowing makes it weird. This is also the reason why we agreed to share expenses fair between us. Splitting expenses. That's surprising. I realized it looking back on my life. Well, after college and work, wanted to give something. It seems to be a fair split of financial responsibilities for two individuals who planned on spending the rest of their lives together. Do you really pay the price that should be paid? You spending on makeup and facial care, we have seen. Is Lysander funding that? Nah, anything like cosmetics, I buy that myself. I want to be the person who knows about money and has a little bit of knowledge. Who are you to be skeptical? Seraphina said with a wry smile. We want the best for Lysander. Believe me, I get it. Just know that my heart is in the right place. Lysander, if you are reading, I love you for who you are, not your pockets. Oh my Gomez, you guys are a break. Well, we only wish you made the right decision. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Give me a chance to prove it. I actually like Lysander and need to construct a loving equal partnership with him. It's fine, babe. They just fear for me. No hard feelings. They'll come around. We'll see, Seraphina. We'll see. They were suggesting that I was only dating Lysander for his money, but a judgment from somebody who I had previously not even considered would ever judge me could cut so deep was shocking. And to make it even worse, the response from Lysander. He laughed at what they said and convinced them it was not all that serious instead of protecting me. Valeria and Thorn had judged me the rest of the night. They harped on my Sinkai way of spending, especially when it comes to makeup and skincare, because they thought Lysander was paying for all of these pamperings and used them to prove that I must be some sort of gold digger. I did my best to explain that I worked for the money to buy them. I just wanted to communicate with you that what me and Lysander had was a REL connection, not DRVNBYMATRILPRKS. Unfortunately, my explanation fell on deaf ears. Disappointingly, Lysander was still not standing up for me, silent, which to me was activating a no vote from his parents securing their menu of dislikes for him to list in front of my face. I was crushed to the core because it felt like a betrayal, as if no one cared and as though I did not matter packed me from interacting with others. It was pretty much falling apart and definitely one of many murky marks on our record with each other. Unbeknownst to me at the time, this would be only the first of a series things going wrong. Evening 11, a number of months later, and nighttime 12, Caspian on his 6-month mark from the chance encounter with Lysander's oldsters. Lysander proposed to me and it was like the happiest moment tour of my life. I was bursting with joy. So, we started to plan our engagement party, a celebration of love between us and with all those who love us. Yet, as the plans developed, Valeria and Thorn loomed to spoil our happiness. They seemed like they were set on battling me at every whim to torch my relationship with their son. I voluntarily bought my own ticket, both for the engagement party and wedding ceremony. I wanted to hold my weight and showed these people I am independent. A part of that was wanting to prove to everyone, even Lysander's parents, including myself, I think what with my own fear surrounding entering into the agreement, searching for assurance within it somehow. However, Lysander's parents weren't the only people that thought I was in it for free money. This is what my whole family thought as well. In their eyes, I lived off of Lysander and that literal fact became a heavy weight on my heart beside the emotional sorrow. My mother could see that the stress of my planning was weighing heavily on me as, for what must have been the first time to her awareness, I felt sad. She could see how I was becoming exhausted with all the misunderstandings. With a touch of Mom's wisdom, she said I needed to sit down and talk with Lysander. Serafina, he is your partner. You must express your feelings and worry about what you haven't told your friends. Tell him the burden you are carrying and let him try to understand. These words stuck with me. I knew it was finally time to talk about my own complicated sexual history with Lysander in a more truthful way. I wanted him to empathize with how his parents' judgments were affecting me, and I was desperate for some support. So, I poured my heart out to Lysander. I articulated what effect that continual negativity was having on me emotionally. I talked about how I wanted us to present a unified front and confront the doubts and judgments of others as one united unit. Lysander was patient and squeezed my hand. Lysander wrote them off as jokes and they were gentle, however their intentions leveled against me in a fury. He told me he loved me and that his allegiance was to be with, not how his parents felt. Despite the comfort that his words offered, they provided a certain amount of doubt as well, and made me feel even more isolated. Yet it felt incomplete. Further down the path of wedding planning, Maricel and Thorne continued to take control at every opportunity, which only served to add stress. They now critiqued everything during the preparation process. Is there something terribly wrong with my decision or spending so much on the wedding? I began to feel so lost and helpless, I allowed myself to actually question my own self-worth because of the consistent negativity from his parents. I wanted them to feel good about me and acknowledge the positive light that Lysander and I had, but nothing was working. The air was thick with tension the day of the wedding. About my dress and makeup, Valeria quickly offered a cutting comment. My Serafina, you are absolutely resplendent in that gown. Seriously, you spent too much on this thing, so dumb. Maricel, this is my wedding day, and I wanted to be honored, which I would wish my mother-in-law to be supportive of me. Well, I am supportive. I pray this child appeal is all the cash my son required to be upright. Maricel, that's not fair. The wedding costs have been divided from the beginning between Lysander and I. I have income of my own and savings as well. We are supposed to celebrate love today, not tear each other down. Celebrating love? Kind of like congratulating on your money-spending prowess. You can't fool me anymore, Serafina. You are after the gold because you cannot get it any other way than through my son. Maricel, I ain't no gold digger. I have envy or asked Lysander for anything other than love and to hold me up when I feel weak. Also, I have my dreams and ambitions. For this purposes, as in fact does not seem surprising to me with such music, I tried very hard. Oh, please. We know the truth, Serafina, it's more of an excuse to hide your luxury. You believe us to be blind, though but shadows we see. Maricel, I do not ask you to truly understand or believe me when I say that my life is of value. What I was doing with my life and you or anybody else need not to validate that for me. You should be celebrating that I got married today. Your wedding day. It won't last, Serafina. Mark my words. Lysander will see his errors sooner than later, and in the end you won't have anything to show for but an account balance at zero. Maricel, I may not have your blessing, but you know what? Because I really love Lysander and me. Your toxic attitude will not disrupt my positivity. Well, I hope you will excuse me, have a wedding to enjoy. They oozed a drip of barely disguised disdain, and she sounded like someone who had every intention to make me feel bad down again for overspending your wage. That was the final straw for me, and I found my voice. I wouldn't be limited by their beliefs and stood up for my independence, as well as the freedom of speech. Valeria was momentarily speechless. It was a small win, a time when I demanded respect for myself. Innocent was my ignorance, soon to perish. I clearly hit a nerve because Valeria only ever got increasingly more threatening in the soon-to-be. Valeria pulled me to the dance floor, And then she started yelling for all of them about how their guest is there. She blabbed to the world that I had said we could each pay for our half of the wedding. She moved on to ask Lysander a question. Lysander, are you telling me that don't have enough to take care of your bride? What's happening, son? The manner in which she worded it was quite malicious. All his rich friends were there, and she knew they had started snickering at Lysander for marrying somebody who came from the WRNGSIDEOFTHETRACS. Now, everyone was looking intimidatingly at Lysander for the answer. I silently prayed he would come to our defense, owning what we had jointly contributed and the partnership shared. But to my complete horror and devastation, Lysander seemed almost ashamed and decided to lie. They said he did pay for it and also threw me under the bus, not a second thought. Right then, anger, betrayal, and hurt crashes over me. I definitely felt like the happy moments we have experienced and all our promises became a deception right in front of my eyes. His lie on this day made me feel like the ground beneath my feet had become heavier to carry, as I wondered whether our relationship was even real. When he said that, everyone turned to me and laughed like I was some kind of fucking punchline. I just did not want to or could handle my embarrassment for another moment. Reluctantly, I left. When I went outside, my mom ran after me, her arms around me. It felt like pressing a bowl of strength into an urge to my own well-being. This is a simple example, but when my mom came to help me through it after, because what would Elvis do without his mama dolling on him? Her support brought back the memory of sons feeling surrounded by love, and thus deserving of respect and compassion. Trying to be the worst bride who ditched her man at the wedding. All I knew was that everyone stopped trusting me. One fateful day, in an emotional outburst and with nothing but the best of intentions at my disposal, I created a Facebook post which showed everything that was paid for, even bank statements. I was exposing the real nature of our financial contributing to this wedding. This post went viral immediately, and the numbers began to rocket. Some even commented with a video of Marcel, desperately trying to humiliate me. The online community backed me up individually, providing support and solidarity in direct messages. After the social media storm, Valeria messaged me relentlessly pleading that I delete the video. The damage had been done, however. It was too late. The response to her actions has been shared and proliferated by thousands of people, so even though she wanted or needed it gone, there is no way those consequences could be undone. I did eventually take the video down, but not before enough people had seen it. Once news broke of the individuals behind this company, their family business took a tremendous hit, with many regulars vowing to boycott. Who on earth would support any venture associated with such volatile and gutless goons? The subsequent public rebuff of their deeds resulted in heavy subscription losses and the company going under within a few months. Lysander, for example, and then some, never apologized. He even verbally assaulted me, telling me that I was a travesty and making his family look bad, to suck it up. That, I felt, was a sign that I should turn back. Finally, I left Lysander and filed for divorce. It was then that it clicked. His family dynamic had made a mess of our once good relationship. I knew that I wanted a love which encompassed respect, trust, and mutual standing. Determined to do so, I pivoted toward building my life anew. During that time, I stayed under and worked on my personal development. The part of me that was designed to be resilient chose something other than victimhood, and began the process of owning my own life, making a plan for my new independence based on what truly mattered most in this world. Which, when faced with hardship and adversity inside of me, swelled troops that dragged my spirit forward. But I have removed myself from toxic hell, a future filled with love, growth, and peace, the only thing you ever fucking deserved.
My name is Riza, and I'm a 27-year-old office worker at a food processing company. I've been married for 3 years. I met my husband, Georgie, who's the same age as me, through a friend during our college days. After getting married, we decided to live together in an apartment close to my childhood home. Since my parents' house is out of state, I have to drive 2 hours to visit them, but I make it a point to see them every few months. Each time I do, I also visit the facility where my beloved grandmother, Cindy, lives. Taking care of Cindy, who has dementia, began for me before I got married. Mostly, it was my part-time working mother, Violet, who took care of Cindy. Caring for someone with dementia is incredibly challenging. There were times when I had to take over for an exhausted Violet, crying as I helped Cindy in the bathroom. As Cindy's dementia progressed, a gloom hung over our home. Cindy gradually forgot how to smile, and Violet and I often clashed over her care. Despite these challenges, several years later, as I was leaving home to get married, Cindy moved into a care facility. This was something she wanted. One reason I had been reluctant to have her stay in a facility was because of my own prejudices. I thought it was sad to put her in a facility, but when I actually visited, I was surprised. Soon, I realized my perception was wrong. The facility was bright and clean, with professional staff working efficiently. Most importantly, everyone there was smiling, and Cindy looked truly happy. Seeing this, we realized as a family that this was the best choice, even though it felt bittersweet. I wish we all could have continued in this peaceful state until Cindy's final days, but my mother-in-law, Rachel, had even more prejudice against care facilities than I used to. Every time we met, she would say things like, "Poor Cindy, isn't that abuse? A facility is like a prison," and other derogatory remarks with a nasty smile. Her words were not out of concern for Cindy, but rather to attack me. I would retort, "That's right, so please don't ask me to take care of you, Rachel. It would be shameless to be cared for by someone you've criticized like this." This would often anger her. Georgie always sided with me, even considering cutting ties if her behavior got too bad. Still, we maintained limited contact, meeting only for Christmas and family gatherings. After years of this strained relationship, I received a call from Violet saying she had something to show me at her house. I was curious about what it could be. Violet showed me bundles of diaries. They were Cindy's, spanning decades. The earliest entries were from long ago, detailing the day I was born, my first steps, my first day of school, and how much she loved my grandfather when he passed away. Most entries were about ordinary days, but some mentioned how my teenage rebellious words hurt her. Reading them, I felt regret, sadness, and nostalgia. Unable to hold back tears, I read on until I found a shocking entry. It described how Cindy, in the early stages of dementia, had taken a train alone to visit my grandfather's grave. At that time, we didn't fully understand what dementia was, and she got lost, causing a big commotion. In her diary, Cindy wrote, "I was anxious. I worried about Riza especially. Her once beautiful handwriting had transformed into shaky, childlike scribbles. The last legible line read, 'I need to be stronger.' Reading that, Violet and I embraced and cried. She was scared, she was anxious. Only now did I understand how Cindy felt. After a good cry, Violet showed me these diaries. 'You were the best friend to Cindy,' she said, and let me have it. I put it in a drawer in my bedroom closet and took great care of it. But something terrible happened regarding this notebook. The incident happened the year after I received the diary. Georgie and I were planning to visit Rachel's place for Christmas, which was a month away. One day before Christmas, I got a call from Rachel, asking me to come over alone. Given the unpleasant stories about Rachel, I consulted Georgie, who advised, 'You better not go.' But Rachel's intriguing words, 'I have something nice to show you,' piqued my curiosity, and I decided to go, with Georgie accompanying me. Since Rachel had insisted I come alone, I had Georgie wait in the car, and with a sense of alertness, I visited Rachel's house. As soon as we met, Rachel greeted me with a disturbing smile. 'You've seen this, haven't you?' To my astonishment, what she proudly presented was Cindy's diary. I had never even mentioned its existence to Rachel, let alone shown it to her. 'What? How? Why?' I stammered. I had kept it in a place that no one could find. My legs started shaking uncontrollably, barely able to stand despite my desire to appear calm. Rachel explained that she had borrowed the apartment key by pretending to be a relative of the owner, then sneaked into my place during my absence to find something incriminating. She found the bundle of diaries in the closet. "Closets have always been the place to hide important things, just as I thought," she said excitedly. Embarrassingly, I hadn't noticed the intrusion. Though my heart was far from calm, I tried to hide my panic and pressed Rachel to return the diary. "That makes you a thief, doesn't it? Oh, Rachel, have you stooped to thievery now? Please give it back." As I said this, Rachel replied with a disgustingly joyful smile. Of they always stuck you, now so weak and vulnerable. This must be something very precious. Unable to bear it any longer, I called Georgie on my mobile phone, who I had told to come immediately if anything happened. Georgie rushed over from the car, which infuriated Rachel. Risa, didn't I tell you to come alone? How could I come alone when I don't know what you're capable of, Mom? What's that you're holding? Georgie retorted angrily. Ashamedly, please give it back. All I could do was cry out. But Rachel, with a malicious smile, began flipping through and reading aloud from the diary, reminiscent of middle school bullying. What's this? Even a grade schooler could write better than this. Was Risa's grandmother really that stupid, or was it the illness? Oh, how dreadful. Diseases of the brain happen because of bad deeds, right? Rachel read aloud from the part of the diary where Cindy was suffering from dementia, seemingly enjoying it. I was always ready to face off with her without resorting to such tactics. The way Rachel looked down on Cindy, using her weakness, was utterly despicable. Stop. Give it back. Georgie, infuriated, was about to grab her when, to our horror, she plunged the diary into a pot of stew. Oops, my hand slipped, Rachel exclaimed. It was clearly intentional, unforgivable. Georgie was screaming in rage, and I was beyond calm. What should I do? How should I punish her? While Georgie and Rachel argued, fueled by resentment and anger, I ran around the room searching for anything Rachel might cherish, anything that looked expensive. I didn't know her tastes, but I gathered jewelry, cosmetics, fur, and clothes. Rachel chased after me, but she couldn't match my pace, pleading as I grabbed as many valuable-looking items as I could and threw them into the pouring rain in the garden, soaking them in rainwater and mud. But my anger wasn't quenched. Next, I grabbed the pot and hurled its contents at Rachel. It had cooled a bit but was still slightly hot. What happened to Rachel was none of my concern. I retrieved the diary, but it was mostly ruined from being soaked in stew. Seeing this, I screamed and threw everything I could find in the fridge and cupboards. I wreaked havoc in every way possible. How much time had passed, I didn't know, but the place looked like a battlefield. I started to calm down, then turned to Rachel and said, Rachel, you're lucky you weren't hurt. Or should I make you so injured you'll need care for the rest of your life? Yes, that sounds good. Oh, but I won't care for you. Spend your remaining years alone. Or maybe caring for you might be fun. I could do whatever I want, right? Yes, let's do that. Hearing this, Rachel crawled around whimpering, eek, like a frog. Later, Georgie told me I had a creepy smile and that he had never seen me like that before. I knew my wife was strong-willed, but I never imagined she'd become that way when angry. I couldn't stop her while she was raging, so I just let her be until she was done. I thought if the neighbors heard and called the police, we could somehow explain it, Georgie said. That's enough for now, he said, dragging me to the car. However, Rachel, misunderstanding the situation, clung to Georgie. Georgie, you're on my side, right? You saw it. Violence is scary, she pleaded. But Georgie shook her off briskly, repulsed. Disgusting. Don't touch me. I was appalled by your past actions, but this time I'm utterly disgusted. I hate you, Mom, as a person now. After cutting ties with Rachel, Georgie pushed me into the car and got into the driver's seat. I was in a daze, holding the ruined diary, unable to do anything else, shaking uncontrollably, tears streaming down my face. I felt nauseous and, failing to hold it back, ended up vomiting on Rachel, who was ranting outside the car. Covered in vomit, Rachel screamed, Risa, I'll never forgive you, even if you apologize. But Georgie retorted, who's apologizing? Even if Mom does, we're never seeing her again. Hearing that, I felt a sense of liberation, realizing I didn't have to see the person who trampled not only on my life, but also on Cindy's. Georgie's stance of abandoning the obligatory relationship because I was his wife made my heart lighter. However, the diary couldn't be restored to its original state. After returning home, I carefully cleaned and dried it. Some pages could be turned, but most of it was wavy and unreadable. Overwhelmed with sadness and emptiness, I decided to cherish the parts that remained intact. Georgie's increased kindness helped me start to recover. Later, when we raised a complaint to the apartment owner about Rachel's break-in, it turned out she had entered months ago, which left us speechless at her thieving skills. Georgie said, I don't ever want to deal with that criminal again, except maybe at her funeral. Crying, But since our apartment location was known, we couldn't risk future incidents. We considered moving and in the meantime added more locks to our apartment, installed an alarm system that rings with vibration, and set up dummy cameras at the entrance and inside, with one real camera inside the house. Our security measures were extreme for a rental apartment, but we managed it with full support from the owner, as the burglary was due to their oversight. Regarding moving, Georgie had tough negotiations, ensuring we get support, so we had no financial worries. Despite my efforts, my stomach continued to hurt, so I ended up needing to visit the hospital. Seeing my condition, Georgie said, "We don't need this anymore," and removed the home phone, which almost exclusively received calls from Rachel. Since most of our communication with Violet was through mobile phones, we weren't worried, and it did help ease my mind. Georgie also wanted to apologize to my family, but I didn't want to cause unnecessary worry, so we held off on that instead. I suggested, "Then make me happy instead," which unexpectedly made him break down in tears. Watching him cry, I remembered something Cindy once said: "If you keep saying life is hard, only hard times will come. But if you say life is fun, fun times will find their way to you." If Cindy said it, maybe there's truth to it. With Georgie, I feel like it could come true. A month later, Georgie told me about a recent visit to my parents' house, a fact he initially withheld considering my mental state. After removing the home phone, Rachel had called him dozens of times. When she saw him, she clung to him again. He described her as pitiful and diminished, but she only spoke ill of me, asking, "You'll divorce that wife and come back home, right?" Seeing Rachel in that state, Georgie told my father-in-law, Sean, "I'm sorry, but I don't want to see my mom anymore. So Dad, please take care of Mom. Making her happy is your responsibility, just as making Risa happy is mine." In response, Sean quietly apologized. "I'm sorry for everything so far," and pulled Rachel away. When it was time to leave, Rachel was sitting on the floor crying bitterly. On the day I lashed out, Sean had taken a screaming Rachel to the hospital. Until now, Sean had always been the one to quietly say, "Sorry, Riza," after any conflicts with Rachel, giving off a sense of resignation in dealing with her volatile temperament. But this time, he seemed to realize something was wrong with his wife and decided to get her examined. At this point, the doctors hadn't given a definitive diagnosis, but it seemed like Rachel might be suffering from empty nest syndrome. She felt as if her son, whom she had raised with all her effort, had been taken away by some unknown daughter-in-law, like a mother bird overwhelmed by the emptiness of her nest. The current approach is to help her accept reality. We don't have children yet, but hearing this made me feel sorry for her. Georgie, sensing my sympathy, firmly said, "Riza, are you thinking of going easy on her? That's why I thought it'd be better not to talk about this. Whether it's illness or not, remember how many times we've been hurt by showing leniency. It's enough. I'm sorry." It seemed Georgie was much angrier than I was. Upon reflection, the act of breaking into our house to find faults in his wife, stealing and ruining a cherished diary, and even denigrating her grandmother is despicable, something you rarely see even in dramas. No matter how lonely a parent feels after their child's marriage, if my own parent did something like that, I'd reconsider our relationship. Rachel lost something important to her in exchange for destroying something precious to me. It's a significant price to pay, but if she can recognize the presence of Sean, her closest and most important person, maybe she can find happiness. Saying this might make Georgie accuse me of being too lenient again, but if Rachel treasures Sean, realizes her actions, and sincerely apologizes, maybe I could consider meeting her just once more. That day might never come, but she's still my husband's parent after all. However, right now, I feel like I might hit her if I saw her, so I really don't want to meet her for a while. I'm Emily, and I'm 26 years old. I've been dating my boyfriend, whom I met through an online game, for exactly 1 year. Initially, I was nervous since we met online, but we clicked because of the similarities in our family backgrounds. Now, he understands me better than anyone else and is very important to me. We were invited to an outdoor party hosted by his friend, and we decided to attend together. It was a barbecue at the cabin owned by his friend's father. Everything tasted delicious, and his friends, whom I met for the first time, along with their wives and girlfriends, were all wonderful people. At first, I was nervous, but by the time we left, I felt completely at ease. On the way back, He suddenly stopped the car and started talking. What do you think about my friends? They are all very nice people. I'm glad I could get along with them and had fun. Thank you for taking me there. Really? I'm glad you know. I hope you can keep having fun like this, preferably as husband and wife. What do you think? I was surprised. Was that a proposal? Of course, my answer was yes. It felt like a dream. We were so excited that in the heat of the moment, we decided, let's have our wedding there, and headed to a memorable hotel. This was the first place he brought me to on our first drive date when we had just started dating. It's a quiet hotel in the mountains, and from the restaurant, you can see the lake in front of the hotel. Not only was the view stunning, but there was also a couple having their wedding at that time, and he remembered me saying how lovely it was. We both agreed that we would like to have our wedding at that hotel. But as soon as we arrived, our hopes were dashed. It is indeed a secluded hotel, but famous for its high status. At the moment, we were returning from an outdoor event, dressed casually in t-shirts, jeans, sneakers, and carrying backpacks. It was clear that we didn't fit into the upscale atmosphere of this hotel. The bellhop who should have greeted us glanced at us and then blatantly ignored us. We even caught him exchanging looks and laughing with other staff members. We began to feel self-conscious about our attire. But my boyfriend confidently continued walking deeper into the lobby. During this time, the front desk staff were whispering and pointing toward us. It was an uncomfortable feeling. The last time we were here, we were dressed more formally, and the atmosphere was completely different. Feeling out of place, I tugged at his hand, but he pulled mine back as if to tell me not to worry. We arrived at the concierge desk. Upon seeing us, the concierge seemed startled, but after taking a good look at us, asked with a cold smile, "May I help you?" I wanted to retort that of course, we needed help, that's why we were standing there. But I let my boyfriend handle the situation. "We are actually considering holding our wedding ceremony here. Could you tell us where the wedding reception desk is?" Upon hearing this, the concierge made a clearly disgusted face. "This isn't your ordinary city hotel. It's a place frequented by celebrities and the wealthy. I don't think it's the kind of place where people like you would hold a wedding." "I'm aware. We've been here before. We love the view and thought it would be great to hold our ceremony here. As I said, this isn't a place where people like you would have a wedding." "What do you mean by that? Can you just connect us to the wedding reception desk?" I could sense his frustration growing as his voice raised. I gently squeezed his hand to calm him down. The concierge continued, "What I'm saying is, this hotel is not a place for poor people like you. Please leave immediately." "Poor? Did he just call us poor?" "This concierge just called us poor. Despite his polite phrasing, he just called us poor." I was ready to tell him off for his snooty attitude, but I decided to let my boyfriend handle this. "Did you just call your customer poor? What's wrong with the staff training at this hotel?" "Sir, I must ask you to leave this lobby immediately as it is getting dirty. It's causing an inconvenience to the other guests." "Cut it out already. We're just asking for a wedding consultation. Can't you at least let us look around without any hassle?" "A tour? A wedding? You've got to be kidding. Even if you worked your whole life and saved every penny, you couldn't afford a wedding here. A tour would be a complete waste of time, wouldn't it? Hey, that's enough. Let's go home." "The other customers are watching too," I said, trying to calm things down. "Emily, just stay out of it. This hotel won't do if they can't get it together." "They need to act properly," he replied, clearly agitated. He hates injustice so much that he becomes ruthless when dealing with people who act unfairly. This usually only stirs up more animosity and heats things up. How did you learn customer service? You're supposed to be a specialist as a concierge, right? Is it acceptable to treat us the way you just did?" "What? What are you talking about?" the concierge stammered. At that moment, a voice came from behind. "What's going on here?" It was the manager, thinking we were causing a disturbance. "We're simply asking to be shown around because we're interested in having a wedding here," my boyfriend replied stoically. Just like the other staff, the manager gave us a top-to-bottom once-over, chuckled dismissively, and said, "I'm afraid a wedding at our hotel might be out of your reach." The concierge chimed in. "That's exactly what I told them, but they won't leave, and it's causing a problem. It's a disturbance to our other guests for you to be in the lobby for such a long period. I'm sorry, but I think it's best if you give up on the wedding and please leave." "Hold on a second. We're just asking to look around because we're interested in having a wedding here. Isn't it okay if you just show us around?" My boyfriend insisted. Sir, I am the manager of this hotel. If you continue to loiter here, he gestured to call security. So what do we need to do to be able to look around? Well, if you were to buy the hotel and become the owner, that's not going to happen. But, at his words, I was on the brink of losing it, thinking, what the heck is he talking about? But my boyfriend just said, I see. So that's how it is. The owner, huh? And started to ponder. Just then, security started to approach us. So I grabbed his hand and urged him to leave. As we walked away with our backs to the manager, he started giving instructions to the concierge. Contact the cleaning staff. The lobby has been completely dirtied. Have it cleaned immediately. What the heck was dirty? In my mind, I cursed them, thinking their attitudes were far dirtier than anything else. We left the hotel behind us. Feeling quite upset, I thought of taking a walk in the garden and admiring a lake before heading home. But we were quickly spotted by the manager from before as we strolled through the garden. Ah yes, this is troublesome. If you walk around here, it could ruin the view for other guests who are enjoying the scenery, he said. What's the big deal about looking at the view? That's not okay, I asked. This view is for the guests who use our hotel. If you can't afford it, please hurry and leave, he replied, trying to shoo us away. Are you possibly thinking about a wedding? Dreaming of a garden wedding? It's useless. Do you have any idea how much it costs to rent out this entire garden? Please make your way out. Then he sprayed me with a hose. Stop loitering and get going. Oh no, I'm all wet now. What is this old guy thinking? I exclaimed, shocked. This hotel might not be as safe as we thought, even if he's not the one in charge, my boyfriend said, frustrated. Hey, what do you think you're doing? He shouted at the manager. There was a stray cat in the garden. I was just sprinkling water to clean it up. Oh, it's still here, the manager said, threatening to spray water again. At his wit's end, my boyfriend shouted, Are you referring to Emily as a stray cat? Enough is enough. Is this how a person in hospitality behaves, spraying water on people? Hey, call the cops. I had a feeling it was going to turn into a big deal. I couldn't stay there and get soaked any further. Enraged, I told him, I want to change my clothes. Let's go, and dragged him back to the car. We came here excited about planning our wedding. But this turned out to be quite an ordeal. This hotel feels so different from when we visited on our date. It's almost like a different hotel altogether. No, the wet clothes I'm wearing are a clear proof of reality. I'm so glad I had a change of clothes in the car. After changing and feeling a bit refreshed, he asked me, Emily, what do you want to do? Do you still want to have our wedding at this hotel? Honestly, I didn't really care at that point, but it's still a place of fond memories. I don't know. The hotel itself is lovely, but I'm not sure about the staff, I replied. He just said, I see. Let's think about it a bit, and that was the end of the conversation. Afterwards, we decided to at least pay our respects to both families, and it's been a whirlwind since then. Our parents asked about our plans for the wedding and reception. For now, we told them like a small, intimate ceremony with only friends and family and asked them to hold off on the location. We've been visiting bridal fairs at other hotels, looking for a good place, but we haven't found one that feels just right. I was in a bit of a bind. Perhaps a wedding abroad would be an option. Just as I was flipping through a bridal magazine with these thoughts, my boyfriend called. Emily, we did it. We can get married at that hotel. What? What do you mean? It was a bit of a struggle, but since it's my hotel now, you can plan the wedding any way you like. Can you believe it? He had been working on this all along. Turns out he's the son of a wealthy family and managed to get that hotel acquired by their chain of hotels. The old man said if I wanted to get married, I should become the hotel owner, he said, sounding quite pleased. I was too stunned to say anything in response to his surprising actions, but we decided to visit the hotel. The following week, the big day finally arrived. On the way there, my boyfriend said cheerfully, the hotel's reputation hasn't been great lately, and it's been affecting business. So I'll work on making it a better hotel, okay? He seemed to be having a lot of fun. The last time we visited, it was nerve-wracking because of how we were treated. But this time, the hotel staff were prim and proper, ready to welcome their new owner. Looking around, I noticed that the bellboy who once scoffed at us was now bowing deeply in welcome. If they could welcome us properly now, they should have done so from the beginning. Knowing about their previous terrible service, their current behavior seemed quite insincere. I felt like laughing at them, but I had to keep my composure. And then came the hotel manager. "Welcome, Mr. Owner," he said. Not just the manager, but also the concierge and the rest of the staff greeted us respectfully. They didn't seem to realize that we were the poor people they had treated terribly before. It's shocking to see such a difference in treatment based on appearance. The way they changed their attitude so quickly is honestly appalling. But it's a good lesson for me. We were shown to the owner's suite. The manager was fawning over us. We've been eagerly awaiting the arrival of the new owner, and to think it's someone as young as you. It's truly impressive that you are the owner of this hotel at your age. Your wife is also quite beautiful, a truly stunning couple. Huh, who is this guy? You called us stray cats, but now you're saying we're handsome and beautiful. Aren't those glasses missing lenses? It's wild how the manager doesn't remember customers' faces at all. We decided to wait for a while since he said he'd create a space for us to greet the employees later. When the manager left us to prepare, I said, "What's up with that manager? He doesn't know anything about us, does he? Handsome and beautiful, seriously. It seems like he didn't notice at all. It's kind of impressive in that way. Oh, well, he looks enthusiastic, so I guess it's fine if he does what he wants. Is it okay for that guy to be the manager?" I asked. "I know, don't worry. I've thought about it," he reassured me. While having this conversation, it was time. He went to the hall where the employees were gathered. "I have become the owner of this hotel. I know you may be uneasy since I'm young, but the headquarters will manage the business firmly, so please rest assured. We plan to operate this hotel as a secluded hideaway, different from the luxury hotels in the city up until now. After repairing the aging parts, we will have a grand reopening. To mark this occasion, I'm thinking of holding my own wedding ceremony here, celebrating both the start of a new chapter for the hotel and for me." This unexpected happy announcement stirred up the employees. Then he called me to introduce his fiancée, and I went up to the stage. When I got up there, the manager standing proudly next to him looked utterly surprised. "Owner, that person is." "That's my fiancée." "Oh, this isn't our first meeting, is it? You didn't recognize me either, did you?" At his direction, I was dressed in a t-shirt, denim, and sneakers, just like the last time we visited the hotel. If I had worn a dress and heels, he wouldn't have noticed, but just by changing my clothes, he seemed to remember me right away. Seriously, this manager seems to judge people solely by their clothes. Looking around, the bell staff and front staff who laughed at us that day were staring at us with wide eyes. The concierge? Oh, he's looking pale and his eyes are darting around. It seems like he finally remembered us this time. My boyfriend, who confirmed the situation, continued talking to the employees who were clueless about what happened that day. Actually, we visited this hotel the other day, and at that time we were both dressed like her now. I got her approval for my proposal, so I was over the moon when we came here thinking we wanted to have our wedding here. The bellboy? Ah, that's you, right? You ignored us without even saying welcome and laughed at us. The front desk staff were pointing and whispering about us. The concierge? You didn't listen or pay attention when we said we wanted to have our wedding here and told us poor people should go home. The worst was you, the manager. Actually, I recorded our conversation from the middle of it. I'll let everyone hear it. The recording of the exchange with the manager played, and the employees started murmuring with disbelief on their faces. They called them poor people. "Isn't that terrible treatment?" they began to say. The manager turned pale and trembled after the audio ended. He began to speak. "As you can see, we were treated as poor because of our modest attire, and in the end we were doused with water and driven out. This is unacceptable, isn't it?" There were nods of agreement from the crowd. Regardless of what we were wearing, I come from a family that owns a chain of hotels, and she is the daughter of a big pharmaceutical company CEO. We are not poor. This time, we were advised by your manager here to become the owners if we wanted to have our wedding here. But what if we were other guests? This should never happen, right? This hotel, which is not particularly conveniently located, should offer the best service to all guests who take the trouble to come here. I want to return this hotel to that state. It was once like that. Let's make this the best hotel together. Applause filled the room. Afterwards, he demoted everyone from the manager and concierge to staff who had reports of poor work attitudes. The manager and concierge were asked to start from scratch, learning from the cleaning staff. In their place, staff who had been neglected despite their excellence, as well as part-timers, were promoted to better positions. He placed the right people in the right roles, creating a lively working environment. He actively listened to opinions, quickly implementing good ideas with a sense of urgency. Even as an onlooker, you could feel the overall atmosphere of the hotel improving. And so he successfully transformed the hotel. By the way, we were able to hold our wedding ceremony at the hotel as initially planned. Of course, it was during a quieter time, and we kept it low-key. About a year later, he handed the hotel management over to a new manager and quickly stepped down. "It should be okay now," he said, but it seems the real reason was that he didn't have time to play his favorite video games. Before I dive into what happened, here's a bit of background about me. I'm Kira. Let me tell you, nothing hurts more than betrayal by your own family. I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone. From a young age, my parents instilled in me the values of kindness and generosity. They were wonderful, compassionate people, so naturally, I grew up always ready to help others. Unfortunately, my willingness to help often led to me being taken advantage of, and I didn't take steps to stop it. That all changed with the biggest betrayal of my life, involving my husband, Archer, and my stepson, Seth. I met Archer at work. I was an excellent student in college and landed a great job after graduation. Yes, the job pays well, but I won't disclose how much. Archer worked at the same company, being the son of the owner, Josh, who was also my ultimate boss. Josh mentored me, frequently saying, "I can see that you are a great worker, Kira. That's one of the reasons I offered you the job years ago. You far exceeded my expectations." Thank you so much, Josh. Your guidance made all the difference. You remind me of my parents who died shortly before my graduation. I know, Kira. I'm so sorry you lost them so early. Sometimes I wish Archer were a bit more like you. He never really focused on the business. He just likes to boast about owning a company and having lots of money. I wish he'd become more responsible, especially for Seth's sake. Maybe you can help him mature. I'll try my best, Josh. Honestly, I was relieved to know you approved of our relationship. I feared you might reject me. You're good for him, Kira. That's what worries me. I hope he changes and becomes worthy of you. Josh never had a great relationship with his son, and after dating Archer, I saw why. While Archer was charming and loving towards me, he wasn't kind to everyone else. He had little respect for his father and a very casual relationship with Seth, who looked up to him more as a friend than a father. When I first met Archer, he was quite the womanizer, so I kept my distance. Seth was born from one of his flings, and his mother gave up her parental rights when Seth was 5. She wanted nothing to do with either of them. Archer often brought Seth to the office and left him with me. Seth and I bonded deeply, and eventually, Archer and I started dating and got married. Archer appreciated me and often said, "I'm so glad I found an amazing woman like you. Most women I dated were after my money, but you're different. You've spoiled me and even taken responsibility for Seth." Why wouldn't I, Archer? Seth is like my own son. I know I can't have kids, but I'm glad to have found a son in Seth. You two have given me a great family. I can't believe you've taken on all of Seth's expenses. Dad won't promote me, so I can't earn as much. I'm so happy you help us maintain our lifestyle. Seth gets everything he asks for, and it makes me so happy. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. Archer married me mainly because I was willing to take full financial responsibility for Seth. He didn't earn much from the company since he wasn't fit for a high position, and whatever he did earn went towards maintaining his posh lifestyle. He didn't want anyone to know he wasn't as wealthy as he appeared. My income allowed him to place all the responsibility for Seth on me while he enjoyed his lifestyle. Despite this, I was happy to care for Seth and Archer. Seth and I were close, and I never saw him as a stepson, but as my own. He adored and loved me, and that was enough for me. One day, when Seth was 13, he came to me with a heartfelt request. "Kira, I really want to call you Mom. Would you be okay with it? I've been thinking about it for a while now. You're the only mom I know. My own mom abandoned me, but you didn't." "What are you saying, Seth? I would be so happy for you to call me Mom. You are my son in every way. I have never thought of you as a stepson. You are my child. Of course you can call me Mom. I never thought I would deserve this title, so I never asked you to call me Mom. You are the only one who deserves this title. In fact, I was hoping you would like to adopt me. My mom terminated her rights long ago, so you can easily adopt me if you want. As much as I love Dad, you are doing everything for me anyway. Oh my God, I would love to adopt you, Seth. You have no idea how long I've wanted this. I'll talk to Archer and start the process. You don't have to worry about anything. It turned out Archer already knew about Seth's wish. He was the one who suggested the adoption. I was elated that they thought I deserved to be Seth's mom, even legally. Little did I know, this was all a ploy to trap me and my money. Like the loving and trusting person I was, I went along with it. Seth, Archer, and I were living like a happy family. But as Seth grew older, his true colors became more evident. I was paying for his school, his car, his extracurricular activities, and even giving him an allowance. I didn't mind spending on him, while his father spent all his money on himself. I never cared about these things, but one day my perfect world came crashing down. Josh passed away after battling cancer for 2 years. Surprisingly, he left the company to me, believing Archer was incapable of managing it. Seth and Archer received $3 million each. They seemed satisfied with their inheritance, unaware of a secret clause Josh had included in his will. He had suspicions about how Archer and Seth truly treated me, and he was right. I soon discovered that Archer was having an affair. He had been cheating on me with a friend for years. The worst part was that Seth supported the affair. The texts I found between them were shocking. I overheard their conversation one day. "I'm so glad you found someone worthy, Dad. Your girlfriend is such a fun woman. I really like her. You have so much fun together. She's nothing like Kira. Don't slip up, Seth. You need to keep calling her mom. I don't want Kira to suspect anything. She might cut us off financially if she does. I know that, Dad. It's just hard for me to call a stranger mom. She's not my mom and never will be. I just don't want her to stop giving me money, so I keep pretending I like her. Your girlfriend is so much better. We need to keep up this facade, Seth. We can't let her doubt anything. Money is important to both of us. We have $6 million now. Why don't we just get rid of this woman? You can marry your girlfriend instead. We don't need Kira in our life anymore. I've been thinking about it. Soon I will divorce her and marry my girlfriend. I'm just waiting for the money to be credited to my account." Hearing this, my world shattered. The people I had loved and cared for were plotting against me all along. Hearing that conversation absolutely crushed me. I never knew this was what my husband and son truly thought of me. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I needed revenge. I walked in with my head held high and a serious expression on my face. There was no way I would let them see how much their words had hurt me. Initially, they were a bit surprised to see me, unsure if I had heard their discussion. I decided to clear up their doubts. I said, "So, you're already planning to get rid of me, right? Well, I have some bad news for you. That $6 million you want, it won't be given to you straight away." Archer snapped. "What the hell do you mean? You'll need my signature for it. Do you think your father was stupid enough to trust you and Seth with money? This is my father's inheritance. Seth and I are entitled to it. All of it. We are his blood. You are no one. Ultimately, you're just my dad's wife. Why would Grandpa give you control over our inheritance? I guess you two have shown me my place today. Good to know that I am no one to you. All these years, I was just an ATM for you guys. It might sadden you to know that your grandpa granted you an inheritance only if I think you should get it. After I give my signature to the estate manager, he'll transfer the money to you. No, that's not possible. Dad would never do that to us. Why don't you actually read the will properly to see what it says? I know you two saw $6 million and just started to celebrate. Here, I have a copy of the will ready just for you two." I handed them the copy and waited as they read through it. They went pale, unable to believe their eyes. Inside, I was laughing, but I maintained my composure. Despite their betrayal, it still hurt, and I didn't want them to see how much they affected me. I watched silently as Archer and Seth tried to comprehend the will. When the truth finally dawned on them, they said, "I see that Dad put you in charge of everything. I guess it makes sense since you were so close to him. If you and Seth had even bothered to look after him, he wouldn't have done this. We don't want to hear that, Kira. Just tell us when you will sign the documents. We need the money. We can't wait forever." Now that I know what you two think of me, I'm not going to sign the documents. I won't give you two a penny. You don't deserve it. You can't be serious. We deserve the money. You cannot prevent us from getting the money. This is our right. I can do that. You do not have absolute rights over the inheritance. The will is very clear. However, if you still have doubts, you can talk to Josh's lawyer and find out. That will make things clear, won't it? Don't worry, we'll find out soon enough. I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Once we get the money, Dad won't have to stay married to you anymore, and I don't have to call a stranger Mom. Hearing that made my heart bleed. After years of loving Seth, he saw me as a mere stranger. I had stayed in a loveless marriage only because of Seth, whom I considered my son. His betrayal was the worst. I had no words left for them. I let them proceed with their plans. I didn't want to stay married to Archer or take care of Seth any longer. The next morning, I went about my day as usual. I went to the office and took over the work Josh had left behind. He trusted me with his business, and I intended to make him proud. But I hadn't forgotten what Archer and Seth were planning, so I made plans to teach him a lesson. I contacted 2 lawyers and prepared the necessary documents. Once Archer and Seth realized what they had done, I would present them with these documents. It was only a matter of time. It took a week for Archer and Seth to figure out that the will was rock solid. They absolutely needed my signature to get their part of the inheritance. So they changed their tune quickly. They waited for me at home before I could return from work. Once I walked in, they scrambled to apologize. Kira, Seth, and I were talking about what happened, and we think that we treated you unfairly. You are definitely one of us. We understand why Dad left you with such a huge responsibility. You are a good person. Yeah, we were being stupid. With Grandpa's death and everything, emotions were high. We may have done something we regret. Oh, so you two have finally understood that you can't get $6 million without me. Good to know. It doesn't take much for you to change your tune. You were misunderstanding us, Kira. We didn't mean any harm. We were being extremely immature. We are family, and we should forgive each other. Mom, why can't you just forget it and move on? It was a small mistake. I'm sure you don't want to see your husband and son suffer, right? So I am Mom again now, no more stranger. It's rich of you to call me family. I distinctly remember you two telling me that I am not family and merely a stranger. I guess a stranger can become family when they control your finances. Come on, Kira. Seth is a child. He made a mistake. Yes, I shouldn't have cheated on you, but it was a one-time thing. I ended things with her today. It will never happen again. Please forgive us. Let's move past this and start afresh. At that point, I knew it was time to reveal the decisions I had made. No matter what they said, I knew their behavior was fake. Archer had cheated on me for years, and Seth had supported him blindly. They showered me with fake love to maintain their lifestyle. The moment they thought they had lots of money, they planned to get rid of me. It hurt like hell, but I was done being taken advantage of. You know what? You are right, guys. We need to move past this and start afresh. Yes, I will be starting afresh, but without you two. You can't be serious, Kara. We are married. Seth is our son. You can't abandon him. You cannot do this to us. I already have. You two betrayed me in the worst way possible. I was heartbroken to find out that you were cheating on me, Archer. What hurts worse is that Seth covered it up for you. Seth pleaded, I know I made a mistake, Mom. I didn't know any better. You need to forgive me. Absolutely not, Seth. I'll never forgive either of you. In fact, here are some things that I have already done. I handed them a folder. I have filed for divorce. The folder contains the divorce papers and an eviction notice. You have 1 month to vacate my house. I'm done being exploited. Seth and Archer looked extremely panicked when they saw the papers. Archer started to shake while Seth had tears in his eyes. No, those emotions were not from losing me. They were just anxious that I wouldn't give them the inheritance, and they were right. They said, You can't divorce me, Kira. I won't allow it. What about my inheritance? What will happen to that? You need to sign it over to me. I'll never provide my signature on the inheritance papers. You two don't deserve mine or Josh's money. He knew exactly what kind of money grabbers you are. So he put that clause in his will. He was right about you two. Now that I know your true faces, I'll never put my signatures on those papers. Mom, please don't do this. We need that money. You're going to abandon us. Dad doesn't work a good job, and neither do I. How will we get by without an inheritance? You're kicking us out, but we have no place to go. Seth and Archer started to beg me to give them the inheritance, but neither of them even tried to stop me from leaving. That was the final blow for me. I gave them a piece of my mind and left them crying in their living room. I won't go into the details of what I said. It was very strongly worded and came from the bottom of my heart. Even thinking of what they had done still hurts me, but I stayed strong and didn't sway with their tears. A month passed after that, and Sif and Archer were forced to leave the house. Archer did try to fight me on everything, from the divorce to the eviction, but with very little money in his name, he didn't have the funds to do much. Plus, his lawyers made it clear that he had no legal leg to stand on. Thankfully, I had proof of his cheating. I live in a state where cheating on a spouse stops the cheater from getting any alimony or assets, so Archer was left with nothing. Since Seth was already 18, I had no legal obligations to pay child support. Archer ultimately agreed to a mutual divorce. He knew that it was impossible for him to pay a lawyer for a long time. I mean, he did waste quite some money trying to get his inheritance without my signature. Seth begged me to stay in his life as his mother. Archer's mistress is apparently a minimum wage worker, which would make life very difficult for him. I know some people will not agree with me, but I want nothing to do with either of them anymore. Seth made it clear that I was just a money machine for him. I couldn't just forgive that. It's been a whole year since my divorce. Archer and Seth couldn't have their happy family after all. The mistress ran as soon as she realized that Archer had no money. Archer and Seth now live in a small apartment. Seth was forced to get a job because his father refused to fund his life. The two now have a very sour relationship and rarely speak to each other. They did try to contact me, but I rejected both of their attempts. I have moved on with my life. I'm seeing someone much better than Archer. We're taking things slow, so wish me luck that I can have a better life away from toxic people. Get out of here. Leave as I warned you over the phone. If you dare reprimand my daughter again, you'll have to leave. You ignored my warning, so kindly get out. The absurdity of Emily's demand leaves me speechless. Emily, my sister-in-law, stands there, her face a mask of self-righteous indignation. You're just my brother's wife, an outsider. Stop pretending to be part of our family, she spits, her words cutting deep. Hearing these words from Emily shatters something inside me. I had endured her verbal abuse and her daughter Olivia's selfishness, thinking they were family. Now all the things I did with their interests at heart have been entirely negated. I have no reason to respect Emily and Olivia anymore. All right, I'll leave, I reply calmly and start packing my things. Emily and Olivia laugh heartily at my situation, but their laughter won't last long, I think, as I gather my belongings. My name is Chloe, and I live with my husband Ethan and his parents. Ethan had requested that we live with his parents once we were married. At first, I hesitated, but when I met Ethan's parents, I realized they were decent folks who respected boundaries. Convinced that life with them would be manageable, I accepted Ethan's proposal. Once we moved in together, my mother-in-law took over all the housework while I worked outside. In turn, I took over the chores when I was at home. We divided the work in the house, and everything went smoothly. However, the visits from Ethan's sister, Emily, were always distressing. Emily had a daughter, Olivia, and they frequently visited us. Each time, Emily would relentlessly take jabs at me. Chloe, can I get a cup of tea? I'm so tired from my part-time job and raising my child. You must be relaxed on your days off at home. I'm so jealous, she'd say. Well, I also work when I'm at home. Of the work you do at home is insignificant. I go out to work every day and have a leadership position. Don't compare yourself to me, she would retort. When it was time for Olivia to find a job, Emily often came over to complain about why Olivia couldn't find one. Olivia is excellent, just like me. The recruiters who reject her must be blind. Maybe she could broaden her job search, I'd suggest. What could you, who barely works, know? Shut up, Emily would lash out furiously. It seemed Olivia finally landed a job after most of her classmates did. Olivia and Emily came over to report the good news to my mother-in-law. Granny, I've got a job. Look. Olivia proudly showed off her job offer letter to my mother-in-law, who smiled contentedly. Well done, Olivia. Yeah, I didn't expect to get into such a large company in the end. The interviewer was kind from the start, Olivia beamed. Next to Olivia, Emily grinned broadly. This company is a subsidiary of the company I work part-time for. My name might be known even in the parent company since I've been around a while. So I got the job thanks to Mom, huh? Olivia mused. It could be. The interviewer saw your name, recognized you as my daughter, and probably had a good impression. Come April, Olivia was to attend a month-long training program for new employees. The training location was only a few minutes away from the home where my in-laws and I lived. Emily, knowing this, called my mother-in-law. Mom, I want Olivia to commute from your house during her training. The training place is over an hour away from our home. We have a spare room, and I don't mind at all. Let me just check with Chloe. Do you need to ask Chloe? Well, but that's your house, right? Chloe is just living there. She won't complain, Emily insisted. Thanks to Emily's insistence, I only found out that Olivia would be living with us for a month after everything had been decided. I was a bit puzzled, but there was no reason to oppose Olivia living there. I warmly welcomed Olivia, and our shared life began. Once the training began, Olivia was late 1 out of every 3 days, despite the training location being just a stone's throw away. It seemed that her habit of waking up at a fixed time every morning had completely disappeared due to her relaxed student life. Grandma, why didn't you wake me up? I called you many times. If I don't make it in time, calling me doesn't mean anything. Ah, forget it. I'm taking a morning off today. Please call the company and tell them I'm taking half a day off due to poor health. Olivia, you're an adult now. You should be doing such things yourself. If I say I'm too sick to even make a phone call, it'll be more believable. Just do as I say, Olivia demanded, taking advantage of my mother-in-law's soft spot for her granddaughter. Olivia had become completely spoiled. Even when she came home from training, Olivia wouldn't do anything for herself. Grandma, I'm tired. Is dinner ready? Welcome back, Olivia. I'm just about to make dinner. What? You're just starting now. Why didn't you have it ready by the time I got home? I'm tired, and I want to eat right away. You're so thoughtless, Olivia snapped. I'm sorry. I'll have it ready soon, my mother-in-law replied, clearly rattled. Seeing my mother-in-law being pushed around by Olivia, who was probably tired from her first job, I couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up. Listen, Olivia, having a warm meal waiting for you when you come home isn't something to be taken for granted. Why don't you show some appreciation to Grandma? Why do I have to listen to you, Chloe? You're not even family. Stay out of it. Not family. I married Ethan, so I am part of your family, Olivia. Mom said Chloe is my brother's wife, so she's an outsider. Then let me tell you as a senior member of the workforce, Olivia, that you should take more responsibility for yourself. Waking up on time to avoid being late is a basic rule of being an adult. A senior in the workforce? Chloe, you're not even going to work every day. Wait till you're actually working hard like me or Mom before you start acting all high and mighty. Olivia completely ignored what I was saying. Then, one day, when I returned home from work, I could hear Olivia's loud voice coming from the living room. What do you mean you're going out? It's unacceptable that there's no dinner when I come home exhausted. I'm sorry, but we're looking forward to our theater outing that day. Your theater outings are just fun and games. I have work. You need to cancel it. Apparently, my in-laws had informed Olivia that they were going to the theater next week and wouldn't be able to cook dinner, and this had infuriated her. I was well aware that my mother-in-law had been looking forward to this day at the theater for quite some time. However, I was worried that if things kept going this way, they might feel compelled to cancel their plans to avoid upsetting Olivia, so I hurriedly proposed a solution. Since you've been looking forward to this, you should go. I'll take care of Olivia's dinner that day. My in-laws seemed thrilled by my suggestion but quickly began to worry. But isn't that a workday for you, Chloe? Are you sure it'll be all right? Yes, if I arrange things now, I think I can get home early. So don't worry and have a good time. On the day of the theater outing, I left work early to come home. My in-laws happily left for their event. After seeing them off, I did some shopping for dinner and waited for Olivia's return. As always, as soon as Olivia came home, she lay down on the couch and waited for dinner. Oh, I'm hungry. Chloe, hurry up and get cooking. Olivia, let's cook together today, I suggested. At my words, Olivia jumped up from the couch. What? Why do I have to do that? Isn't it natural to cook your own food? No way. I've been at work. I'm not doing housework when I'm tired. I've been working too. I've got the ingredients. Can't you just help me out? You, Chloe, can come home whenever you want from your easy job. Me, who has to go at a set time every day, we are not the same. Just hurry up and make it by yourself. The fact that I was able to come home early today was a result of painstakingly adjusting my work schedule. But I doubted that Olivia would understand that. Swallowing my anger, I calmly tried to reason with her. Listen, Olivia, I'm not asking you to help me because I find it bothersome to cook alone. I want you to understand what it means to be a responsible adult. What? I don't need your interference. After letting the grandparents go out without asking me, you're giving me a lecture, which is super annoying. Olivia then stood up, visibly irritated, and started dialing on her phone. Mom, listen to this. Chloe keeps nagging me and she won't even cook dinner. She unloaded her complaints about me to her mother, Emily, once she had said her piece. She handed me the phone with a triumphant smile. Mom wants to talk to you, Chloe. As I took the phone, Emily's angry voice blared from the other end. Listen here, who do you think you are, talking to my daughter like that? As my son's wife, if you continue to cause problems for my daughter, I'm going to ask you to leave that house. It's not about causing problems. All I wanted to do was impart some sense of responsibility to Olivia as a working adult. So you're trying to lecture on being a responsible adult? Chloe, you're not even a full-time employee. How can someone who is hardly needed by their company afford to be so cocky? How can you say I'm not needed, Emily? When you've been around as long as I have, you can tell at a glance who's capable and who's not. I've made sure to see off many a dead weight. Then, without a second thought, Emily added, just go and prepare dinner for my daughter, and hung up the phone. Olivia, sitting next to me, smirked as she looked my way. You better not oppose my mom, Chloe. There's no one at work who can even admonish her, so get to making dinner already, okay? With that, she sprawled lazily on the couch again. This mother and daughter pair, there's no reasoning with them. Left with no choice, I began to prepare the meal. I'm so hungry because of your pointless chit-chat, Chloe, Olivia mumbled under her breath as she nibbled on the meal I prepared. Once she was done eating, she abandoned her dishes and headed back to the couch to watch TV without so much as a thank you. Hey Olivia, at least clean up after yourself. I tried repeating myself, but all I got was a bored look from Olivia. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was Emily. Why are you here? To my surprise, Emily casually replied, it seemed like you didn't quite get the message over the phone, Chloe, so I thought I'd come over and tell you directly. Hearing her mother's voice, Olivia excitedly reported, Mom, listen. Just after you warned her over the phone, Chloe started lecturing me again. Hearing Olivia's words, Emily glared at me. Looks like it was the right decision to come here after all. You're still complaining to my daughter even after everything I said. I had backed off on the phone, but I couldn't let this go for Olivia's sake. It's not a complaint. I'm merely teaching her the basic manners of cleaning up after herself, something even a grade schooler should understand. Hearing this, Emily snapped at me. There is no need for someone like you to be telling us about manners. Have you considered your own situation before lecturing about manners? What about my situation? You and Ethan can barely afford a house even with both your salaries combined. You're just leeching off this household. Why don't you change your own attitude before teaching my daughter about being a responsible adult? I'm not here to leech off you. As proof, I make sure to pay my fair share of the rent and living expenses every month. I want. Well, it doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to leave this place. Leave. I told you on the phone, if you continue to berate my daughter, you'll need to move out. You ignored my warning, so now it's time for you to go. That's absurd. I was at a loss for words at the sheer injustice of it all. Seeing me unable to retaliate, Emily went on, you're still an outsider, even if you are my brother's wife. Stop acting like you're part of the family. Emily's words hit me hard, and something inside me crumbled. I had put up with Emily's insults and Olivia's selfishness because I thought of them as family. I had been rejected by them despite doing everything with their best interests at heart. There was no reason left for me to restrain myself with Emily and Olivia anymore. All right, I'll leave, I said quietly, beginning to pack my things. At the sight of me packing, Emily and Olivia started to crack up. Ignoring their laughter, I continued to pack. When my in-laws returned home, my mother-in-law's face shifted as she took in the scene. Oh, is that you, Emily? Chloe, what's with the luggage? Before I could answer, Emily chimed in. Chloe has been lecturing Olivia while she can't even do her own job. She's become such a nuisance. We decided to send her packing. My mother-in-law's face drained of color. Apologize at once, and you too, Olivia. Why should I apologize to Chloe? If she wants to be part of our family, she should ask us. Maybe then we'll consider it. Emily's statement was backed up by a firm nod from Olivia. My mother-in-law sighed deeply. You too, it's over for you. What? What are you talking about? The one who's done is Chloe, right? She's the one being cut off from our family. Emily's brazenness left my mother-in-law shaking. Do you even realize who made it possible for Olivia to get her job? That's me, the part-time manager. Emily tried to puff herself up, but my mother-in-law interrupted her. No, it's not like that at all. It's because Chloe, who's an executive at the corporate office, recommended her to human resources. Well, that's a lie. Chloe barely does anything. She's home half the week. Facing the confrontational Emily, I revealed the truth. I often attend executive meetings online, so I work from home. Then did Chloe really get Olivia her job? I really wanted Olivia to find a job on her own, but she begged me for help. Why? Why didn't you say anything? I wanted Olivia to start at the same place as everyone else, to work without any advantages. It was better for her not to know that I was an executive at her company. So did Mom and Dad know this from the beginning? I had asked your parents and Ethan to keep my position a secret, Emily. Since you always assumed I was incompetent, you never showed interest in my work, so there was no need to tell you. So you're telling me I've been disrespecting an executive at my own company this whole time? Olivia, now aware of the truth, went pale. That's right. Thanks to my concealed identity, I got to learn a lot about how new employees like to fake illness and such. Please don't tell anyone about this, Olivia pleaded desperately. I coldly replied, I thought I'd let it slide because it's a family matter, but it seems I'm not considered family to you too. So I can't stay quiet if it's something that will harm the company. But I will be assigned after the training. Exactly, Olivia. You're lacking awareness as a working professional. Moreover, you're not willing to accept others' opinions. We can't let you interact with customers with this attitude. Emily, in her panic, clung to me. I'll take back what I've said. Olivia is Chloe's adorable niece. Don't report anything that would harm her situation. Emily, don't you think you should worry about your own role? What? Your part-time team's high turnover rate has been repeatedly brought up in the parent company's meetings. If it comes to light that you, as the manager, are forcing part-time employees to quit, it's going to be a big problem. Emily remembered her own words, and her face tightened. Wait, that's a misunderstanding. I was just guiding the unproductive part-timers, and then they quit on their own. I'm not responsible for this. Well, that can be investigated. We have a meeting next week with your company's board members. We'll report this and have it thoroughly examined. No way. My hard-earned managerial position. Afterward, I decided not to leave the house after being persuaded by my mother-in-law. However, I did report Olivia and Emily to the company. Olivia ended up attending a training center in the mountains for retraining for 6 months while her peers were assigned positions one after another. It seemed she was thoroughly trained on the basics of being a professional. Emily's workplace underwent an audit at my direction. With complaints from other employees and testimonies from those she had forced to resign, it was found that Emily was using her position of authority to cause a lot of stress to those around her. As a result, Emily was fired. Emily seems to have started a new job to cover her living expenses. However, since she's only ever worked at one place before, she's having a hard time getting the hang of her new job. Despite this, she still acts high and mighty and seems to be on the verge of getting fired from her new job as well. At this rate, her life will likely continue to be difficult. On the other hand, I continue to live peacefully, sharing household chores with my in-laws as usual. This incident seemed to have taken quite a toll on my mother-in-law. Chloe, I'm sorry, because I've spoiled Olivia and Emily. I made you go through such unpleasant experiences. No, it's fine. I was happy that you stood up for me. Having had a good talk with my in-laws, I feel that our bond is even stronger than before. Even though my sister-in-law turned out to be a challenge, I look forward to continuing to live with my mother-in-law, maintaining our good relationship.